Let's reread the excerpt from Holes one more time. I will provide specific instructions on how to mark the text that will help you with comprehension. For this activity, you're going to need a highlighter, a marker, a colored pencil, or a colored pen. Turn to page 12 in your student book. Draw a rectangle around the title, Holes. Circle the part of the text that serves as an introduction. Next, we will read the vocabulary words aloud. Automatic recognition of words allows your brain to access meaning of the words more quickly. After confirming the pronunciation of each word, we will recall its meaning and use the word in a sentence. What's the first bold vocabulary word? Commit means to do something that is against the law or harmful. Stanley was sent to Camp Green Lake because some people thought he committed a crime. Now you use the word in a sentence. What's the next bold vocabulary word? Dazed means very confused and unable to think clearly. Stanley was dazed by all Mr. Sir had told him, but was too nervous to ask questions. Now you use the word dazed in a sentence. What's the next bold vocabulary word? Barren means without plant or animal life. Camp Green Lake is in the middle of a barren desert. Now you use the word barren in a sentence. What's the next bold vocabulary word? Juvenile means related to a person under 18 years of age. Stanley is a juvenile offender, so he was sent to camp with other kids his age instead of prison. Now you use the word juvenile in a sentence. What's the next bold vocabulary word? Declared means stated something in a firm or official way. Mr. Sir declared that Camp Green Lake wasn't a Girl Scout camp multiple times. Now you use the word declared in a sentence. What's the next bold vocabulary word? Premises are the land and buildings owned by a person or company. No fence surrounds the premises of Camp Green Lake because escapees wouldn't survive the desert. Now you use the word premises in a sentence. What's the next bold vocabulary word? Aware means knowing something exists or is happening. Stanley quickly became aware that Mr. Sir wasn't going to help him get settled. Now you use that word in a sentence. What's the next bold vocabulary word? Consisted means made up of. Stanley's day consisted of nothing but eating, sleeping, and digging. Now you use the word consisted in a sentence. What's the next bold vocabulary word? Avoid means to stay away from something or someone. Stanley would not be able to avoid the heat at Camp Green Lake. Now you use the word avoid in a sentence. What's the last bold vocabulary word? Vast means extremely large. Stanley wondered how many holes would cover the vast campgrounds by the end of the summer. Now, you use the word vast in a sentence. Are there any vocabulary words that are still confusing for you to read or understand? You will read the excerpt from Holes, a small section at a time. After each section, you will monitor your understanding by circling the check mark if you understand the text, or a question mark if you don't understand the text. I also want you to draw a question mark over any confusing words, phrases, or sentences. As you read, mark any words or phrases that have to do with the setting of the story. Remember that the setting tells about the time and place that the story happened. What does the setting tell? The setting provides answers to the questions where and when. Which questions words does the setting answer? Now read the first section on page 12. Let's see how well you understood what you read. Circle the check mark or the question mark for this section. Draw a question mark over any confusing words. Go to line 3. Number Stanley's 2 options or choices. Go to line 5. Mark the synonym for entered. On the same line, mark the synonym for assumed. Go to line 7. Mark the duration of the bus ride. Go to lines 11 through 13. Mark the phrases that describe Stanley's condition. Go to line 14. Mark the synonym for deserted. If you haven't already done so, mark the words that relate to the setting. Now read lines 18 through 50. As you read, mark any words or phrases that have to do with the setting of the story. Let's see how well you understood what you read. Circle the check mark or the question mark for this section. Draw a question mark over any confusing words. If you haven't done so already, mark the text that is related to the setting. Go to line 18. Find the noun that means display that informs and mark it with an N. Go to line 21. Mark the word that means a breaking of the law. On the same line, mark the synonym for bombs. Go to line 24. Mark the word that means change for the better. Skim lines 26 through 29. Mark the words and phrases that describe Mr. Sir. Go to line 30. Find the verb that means write your signature and mark it with a V. Go to line 34. Mark a reason that the man might be irritable. Go to line 35. Mark what is on the man's arm. Go to line 37. Circle the word these. Draw an arrow to the noun that these represents. Go to line 40. Mark the word that means presented. Go to line 41. Circle the word one. Draw a line to what it represents. Go to lines 45 and 46. Mark the phrase that describes how Stanley feels. Go to line 48. Mark the man's name. Mark the comment that indicates Mr. Sir is strict. Reread the quote you just marked. Circle the phrase that means, do you understand? Now read lines 51 through 79. As you read, mark any words or phrases that have to do with the setting of the story. Let's see how well you understood what you read. Circle the check mark or the question mark for this section. Draw a question mark over any confusing words. Go to line 51. Mark the synonym for paused. On the same line, mark the comment that has a cautious tone. Go to line 53. Mark the evidence that Mr. Sir is sarcastic. Mark what Stanley had to do that likely embarrassed him. Go to line 58. Mark the synonym for in the first place. Go to line 60. Mark the synonym for safety. Go to line 60. Mark the synonym for sadly. On the same line, mark what was unfortunate about the canteen. Go to line 61. Mark the synonym for safety. In the next paragraph, circle the number word that tells how many days Stanley must wear his work clothes. Go to line 67. Mark the word that means hollow space dug out of the ground. In the margin, write how many days of the week Stanley will be digging holes. Circle the approximate length of Stanley's shovel. Highlight the repeated sarcastic comment. Go to line 78. Mark what Mr. Sir checked. Read lines 80 through 106. As you read, mark any words or phrases that have to do with the setting of the story. Let's see how well you understood what you read. Circle the check mark or the question mark for this section. Draw a question mark over any confusing words. Go to line 81. If you haven't already done so, mark the words that relate to the setting. Go to line 82. Mark the synonym for quickly. Go to line 87. If you haven't already done so, mark the words that relate to the setting. Go to line 95. Mark the word that means case for a pistol. On the same line, mark the dangerous animal. Go to lines 99 and 100. If you haven't already done so, mark the words that relate to the setting. Looking again at line 100, mark the name of a bird that eats decaying flesh. Go to line 102. Mark the evidence that the campers are unhappy. Go to line 105. An idiom is a saying that is used in a particular place or time. The group of words cannot be taken literally because the dictionary definitions of the individual words do not apply. Mark the idiom that means that's how things are or accept it. On the same line, mark one condition Stanley will have for 18 months. Many stories contain a main character who is the good person in the story, called the protagonist, as well as a secondary character who is a bad person, or the antagonist. Holes is one of these stories. Find the name and label each of them.